Welcome back, guys. Today I want to talk about traps. Traps exist in Dungeons & Dragons to remind our players that the world around them is dangerous, not just its inhabitants. They control pace, they sprinkle in a pinch of chaos, they munch hit points, and they provide a much needed escape from the otherwise mundane grind of a dungeon. And they deserve to be celebrated, so today we're going to celebrate one of my personal favorites. It's an interesting trap from Acquisitions Incorporated. But first, just a quick disclaimer. If your Dungeon Master intends to use any part of the Acquisitions Incorporated sourcebook, you may want to click away. But before you do, please give the like and the subscribe button a tickle. Your support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so buried within the first adventure of the Acquisitions Incorporated sourcebook, there is an amazing little trap that's sure to cause the kind of chaos that helps a DM go to sleep smiling every night. So in the scene The Fissure, there's an area of the fissure called Traps. Rightfully so. The room itself is a collection of traps. Most of them are kind of middle of the road, and your players should be able to move around the first three without too much trouble. However, once they get through traps A, B, and C, they're going to find themselves on the east side of the room. And this is where things are going to get wild. So at the eastern side of this large room, there are double doors. They are pickable with a DC 15 dexterity check, or if you're into the smashy smash and stealth is optional in your backstory. So getting through it isn't really the hard part. It's when they put a hand on the door that things are going to get really clever. Your players are less likely to be bunched up at the doors. They're probably going to stay back, probably sensing the door could be trapped, and they're going to send their rogue up ahead to check out the door and see if we can disarm it. Now for the unlucky bastards that are standing in Area D, things could go sideways real quick as soon as the rogue puts his hand on the door. For these unlucky guys, they're going to need to make a DC 10 charisma check, or they're going to be teleported to the other side of the door. And I know what you're thinking, oh great, shortcut, easy peasy. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that. For those who fail that charisma check, they're going to find themselves on the other side of the door, laying on a slab, covered in mummy wrappings, and paralyzed. And as far as the rules are written, there's really no save against this until the door actually does get officially open. And this is the moment when the DM can really bring this whole thing to life, because instead of simply spelling out, oh, you jump to this other room, you're covered in mummy wrappings and paralyzed, you can flavor this a little bit more and create a lot more chaos. So instead, give this a shot. Just say something like, you feel lightheaded, your mind begins to slip and everything goes blank. And suddenly you come back to consciousness, but you're unable to see, you're unable to move, cold stone at your back. And leave it at that. So we're not lying, right? They can't see. There's mummy wrappings over their face, and the stone is quite cold that they're laying on. So all of that will make sense eventually. Now for the players who are left back in the other room, just simply say, Bob disappeared with a pop. Leave it to them. Let them figure out what's going on, or not figure out, because they will not be able to figure this out. Now, assuming the players finally do decide to move on, instead of just giving up and playing Mario Kart, they will eventually make it through that door. The thief will be able to pick it, or somebody will be able to smash it down, but as soon as the door is picked, the second half of this trap is going to then spring to life. So let's jump ahead to the point where they give up trying to figure out what happened to their homies, open the door, and they're staring into a dark room. At this point, we're prompted to give them a little bit of flavor text for the next room. Slabs set along the walls of the stone chamber hold human-sized bodies wrapped from head to toe in strips of off-white cloth. Even as the doors open, these wrapped bodies begin to rise. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, so this trap is interesting, it's weird, it's kind of kooky, but is it that special? In this moment right here, if you manage to pull this off, if the dice align, the DM, Dungeon and Dragons gods have blessed you and your table, then you were able to pull off getting everybody into this room and totally confused. Because for your players who are entering the room, they're going to see the mummies standing up off of the altars, the stone tablets, and moving towards them, and what you can assume to be an attack. There are 4 actual zombies in the room, and they are going to stand up, and they are going to walk towards the players, and they are going to attack them. But there's also the players in the room. Now, that triggers a DC 10 wisdom saving throw for many of the players that were teleported in the room and paralyzed. If they succeed that, they can jump up off the tables, rip off the cloths, and rejoin their party. But, if they fail that saving throw, they find themselves compelled, not of their own control, to stand up with the other actual mummies and move towards the doors, moving towards the players. So what the players are going to see is real zombies and fake zombies just coming at them. They're not required to attack the players. They are not compelled to attack the players, simply walk towards them. And this is the grand finale of the trap, because you have the players who enter the room, and they're just seeing a bunch of mummies coming walking at them. To the players that are in bandages, they probably have started to figure out what's going on just by metagaming this, but they're unable to identify themselves to the players. So the players see 6 mummies, 4 of them are actual mummies, and 2 of them are other actual players. But the ones that are actually players, they're not going to attack, but the other players, they aren't aware of this. They don't know this component of the trap, and so all they're going to perceive, their characters are going to perceive, is just a whole bunch of mummies coming right at them. And now just imagine the pandemonium as they try to figure out who's friend and who's foe. Mistaken attacks, heroic attempts to save a zombie who is clearly not their friend once they get the wrappings off of it. All these things are just a chaotic mastery of trap writing. So if you manage to pull this off and your players didn't save against everything, then you can just sit back and enjoy the player tiers, because they're going to be in chaos for a while they try and figure out what's going on. This one is for sure going to go down in the tomes of your campaign as one hilarious event. Alright, so that's my favorite trap. Leave a comment below and let me know what your most memorable trap experience was in D&D. And don't forget to fondle that subscribe button and check out some of our other cool videos we got right over here. Right here. Go on click. Let's click it. See you next time, homies.